Hi, guys, and we are live. We're back again with Strange Journeys, a most unusual live stream podcast. And we've got some good stuff lined out for you today. But before we get into that, we're going to, introduce Christine and Tommy and our very special guest, Kent. And we'll be introducing him complete later. All right, he's our special guest today, sitting in with us, and we're gonna pick his brain on a lot of stuff that you may enjoy. So remember to comment. So you guys, my ETs, help me keep up with the comments because I get caught up in all the stuff that I got to do that I forget. Before we get on to the show, remember that we have our merch sites, strangestuff.live, where you can get just all kind of weird, strange stuff that has to do with the paranormal, the supernatural, and all that kind of good stuff. We have our show merch, where you can go to Teespring and you can get T-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, that kind of thing. We're still working on expanding that, but we got a few things there now. And join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Strange Journeys. And our group, Strange Friends, of all the folks that love the Strange Journeys podcast, join us there. All right. Appreciate y'all being with us. Christine, what's happening in your world, girl? Where you at with that book?
Well, I'm still in chapter 7. I had to take a week off to take care of some family situations, but I think it's coming along pretty good. It's still playing in my head as to where it's going to go. I've got some twists and turns that I've got planned to really throw my readers off. So we're working on it.
Yeah, I got some plot twist.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Like I told you before, she's old school. She does everything in a notebook. She doesn't have a laptop or anything. Somebody does that for her later, right?
Well, my eldest daughter is supposed to put it into the computer, but she's had some stuff going on that she needs to take care of, so it's kind of a slow process right now. But I did take what I've just written last week up to a friend of mine, and she read it, and she's kind of adamant about me getting it done as soon as possible.
Cool.
I want more.
Well, Christine's gonna keep us updated on there. And remember, you can find her on Facebook. It's Facebook.com/author Christine Rogers.
Correct.
And she's one of our sponsors, so we'll be playing her little ad here later. All right. Oh, and that reminds me, Tim Shepard is working on his next book. He's got 2 out already. And so if y'all don't realize, Tim Shepard does Ravenwind Tours, but he's also one of our ETs. And he has sent me the introduction to his next book to, I don't know, edit, proofread, whatever. So so I've got that and going to be working on that. So Tommy, what's happening in your world?
Man, it's been
Tommy,
to say the least.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It's been interesting to say the least.
Well, what did you ever get back over to that lady's property that she found some artifacts on?
No, her husband didn't think that was a good idea. He didn't want to stir up nothing, cause anything more to start happening.
Oh, okay.
Which is fine by me, son.
Yeah. Well, folks, I just those of you that are watching, Tommy got hit with some tough times, some medical issues, and we have a GoFundMe for him on our Strange Journeys page. So if you go there, Facebook, let me bring it back up here. Facebook.com/Strange Journeys. You'll find a link to the GoFundMe to help Tommy. So we would ask you, please do what you can, share if you can, and help us out there. We'd certainly appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, Christine.
I really would.
Yeah, we all appreciate it. Christine just wanted to let everybody know, comment here. Yeah, I'm glad you did that because we want this to be interactive. We want people to chime in. All right. Like I said, we're going to be introducing Kent. I got to remember my orientation here. Kent, right there, a little in just a few minutes. So we're going to get all the updates from him after we start the show officially. So it's that time, folks. Are y'all ready to go on our strange journeys? And we are back live stream. This is Strange Journeys, a most unusual live stream podcast. All right, we start every show with the latest sightings. Now, this one that I'm going to share with you today, I found it was posted just a couple of days ago on YouTube, but the actual original video was like back in May. So I don't know what the lag time was there, if they just found it, but this was posted by a YouTuber called Scary Videos. But this was recent, within the last 2 days posted. It may have taken him that long. Let me see what y'all think about this latest sighting. Now, wasn't that just the least bit creepy? And no, that was not Tommy. I mean, the video was kind of pixelated, especially on the zoomed in part. But what? Some kind of huge head and a little body? What do you think?
Upside down bowling pin.
Yeah, that was just. Like I said, the CCTV. Yeah, the CCTV said I think May the 2nd was when this was captured, but for whatever reason, it just got posted on the YouTube a couple of days ago. Let's look at that again. Hang on just a second. All right. I'm sorry. That was kind of weird. Yeah,
He
Lynn.
don't count until he walks or nothing. He kind of glides.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I think I kind of accidentally restarted it because I saw Lynn had popped back on, so I was adding her, and it was just like, what happened? I lost the sound and everything. Anyway, yeah, but the one thing that stood out to me was the eyes, or what I assume to be eyes. You know, those glowing spots. I mean, what did you think?
It looked like somebody walking with a flashlight at their arm.
Could be.
On the other thing, one part when the camera kind of zoomed in a little bit, he had some of the shortest arms you could ask for. It looked like a T-Rex almost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the YouTube video says this is an alien or a ghost, and I
Might
had
be
to
a
that.
kid on a skateboard.
Yeah, I mean, I added to that. This is a prank. Is this? I mean, do you think this could be debunked? You know, is something normal or natural? How would you even replicate that? What was that?
I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Somebody smart. It took somebody smarter than me to be able to make something like that, make something to look like that and move like that. Because at a couple points, you know, you could actually see its little arm moving.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
you
know
see
if I
all
put
that.
that in a ghost. I don't know if I could put that as a ghost though. Cause I'm
Right.
thinking more along the lines of Marvin and Martian there with that one.
True. But you know, I mean, I can't say I've ever seen an alien, but most of what you see from aliens, they have more of a body, I guess. But you know, it was, if you look at it, compared to the front porch it was walking beside, maybe about 3 foot tall or so, but that head was huge. But it kind of reminded me of when you take a picture of some kind of animal or something and their eyes flash. It's got that bright flash in their eyes. If that was their eyes, I don't know. All right. If you who are watching have any thoughts or comments on our latest sighting video, please comment and let us know. We'd love to hear your opinion. And I had a thought the other day. I'm going to take all these latest sightings videos and we're going to upload them to the page so that people can come back and comment on them later as to what they think. All right. Our first sponsor before we get into the topic of the show. Here we go. FrankLovesBooks.com. All right. Okay. Who's eating chips out of a bag? All right. Well, I've mentioned this before. We don't really sell sponsorships to our show. The sponsors that we have on here are each of the ET's extracurricular activities. In other words, things that we do outside of the Strange Journeys show. So the Frank Loves Book, franklovesbooks.com is my website. And we'll actually be talking about, because some of the things we're talking about today, you can actually find at Frank Loves Books. All right. This is our first show on ghost hunting. Now, I honestly decided not to call it Ghost Hunting 101. One main reason is because Kent has a podcast, and that was the name of his show. One of his episodes was Ghost Hunting 101, and there's books of Ghost Hunting 101 and all this kind of stuff. And so I chose one of the two questions that is most commonly used in a ghost hunt. Did you hear that? And what's the other one? What's the other question that's always seems to be always used? Oh, come on, guys. Is there anyone here with us?
I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's the question.
Oh. Y'all picking on me today.
Wake up, Christine, please.
I'm trying.
Thank you for being here. All right. So basically, I envisioned 2 more shows. We're just going to talk over some basics today. We're going to pick Kent's brain because actually, I think I've never really discussed this with him, but I think he's really one of the pioneers in this modern era in the area of ghost hunting. But we want to focus on 3 major areas today, and that's who ghost hunts, who goes out there and spends their time. And I want to talk about personalities and motivations. And then secondly, I want to talk about locations. And thirdly, we want to talk about some ghost hunting tools. And each of us will have our own opinions and things like that. But before we actually delve into it, I wanted to introduce it this way. In 2004, a new kind of TV show hit the airwaves and created a phenomenon that we still experience to this day. That show was Ghost Hunters. I mean, according to my research, that was the very first show in this modern era that actually focused on a team going out to ghost hunt, and that was back in 2004. And the thing that separated it from the other paranormal shows throughout history was that this was 2 plumbers. Well, they were Roto-Rooter plumbers, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they went out and they hunted ghosts with all this fancy equipment. And I tried to find their very first promo, but I couldn't. Where'd I put it? Yeah, but check this out.
Most people
Can you please make your presence known?
wouldn't last
Who's in here with us?
4 minutes. We're giving you 4 hours. A new theme every week.
We're gonna hunt some ghosts.
This week, Jason and Grant find out what's been haunting New England. Ghost Hunters, this Wednesday, starting at 7 on Sci-Fi.
Ghost Hunters, I'm sending you this because we had to flee our home.
Several of us have gotten locked in the lighthouse. We've had sightings of the shadow figure.
I heard a man running up the stairs.
Let's figure out what the heck's going on here.
Is someone in here with us?
It's coming closer.
I'm here to help you. We're not looking for ghosts. We're looking for the truth.
The Phenomenon returns. Ghost Hunters premieres August 21st on A&E.
So it's still going today. I know they split up and went their separate ways for a while, but it's I'm pretty sure that latest video is saying that they're starting back up on my birthday this year. But mankind's fascination with the supernatural and the otherworldly has been with us since time immemorial. But this show brought us the ability to watch people, investigating it. Other shows soon followed, and soon we were inundated with paranormal shows and books and movies. And of course, our show is one of the latest. we're in the inundation as well. But this show, what this did was it spawned the thought, hey, if these 2 regular Joes, these 2 plumbers can get out there, can do it, then I can. And that's when it wasn't long until local paranormal investigation groups began cropping up everywhere. I mean, there's probably not a town at least in the United States, that does not have a paranormal group. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been involved with some. Y'all have. I'm sure our viewers have been involved, may be involved now. Some of you may already be in a group. But like I mentioned, this isn't new. This has been going on since the beginning of our civilization. People have been interested in this and asking questions and digging into it and going through it, and they want to research and debunk, and they wanted to hunt ghosts for as long as anyone remember. Did you ever hear of the feud between Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and Harry Houdini? Do you remember that one?
I don't.
Right.
I remember reading about it.
Yes, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, of course, who created Sherlock Holmes and wrote all those wonderful series of books, which I've read everything that he wrote myself. I haven't read all of the offshoots where people take the Sherlock Holmes character, and I've read some of them. But he and Houdini actually started off as friends. And then Conan Doyle actually got involved in spiritualism, his wife more than him, but he got in trouble for publishing a paper on fairies and what he believed about fairies, and then the spiritualism, and he would hold seances with psychics and mediums. And Harry Houdini felt like it was all a bunch of load of crap, and so he was actually a debunker, kind of like the Amazing Randy today. He would go into these things and try to prove that it was false and fake and that they were all a bunch of crooks. But anyway, that spawned a TV show for a while, which didn't go very well, where they supposedly, investigated these weird crimes. But our fascination with the paranormal has led us to this point where we actually begin to learn how to investigate. The ghost hunters, they, which I never understood this, they put someone through a year or two's training. I mean, I remember used to seeing it on the show, like investigator trainee or things like that. It got so big that you could have your paranormal group affiliated with TAPS, which was, what was that, the Atlantic Paranormal Society. You could be affiliated with TAPS, but you had to go through their qualifications. And I mean, I don't know. It just, one group I was in said, hey, we could be signed up with TAPS. And I'm like, no, I didn't see the point in it, but they help a lot of folks. And so I'm not, I'm not denigrating them at all. So I just want it to be known, we're not the experts. Some of us have been doing this a while. Kent, like I said, I believe is one of the pioneers, and that's why we brought him on to talk to him about that. So as we go into this, we're going to primarily focus on ghost hunting and paranormal investigations, but there are other types like Bigfoot hunting. I've got some friends on Facebook down in Florida that they've got a tour company that's all they do is they go out into the woods and, knock sticks on the trees and yell and all kind of stuff, trying to get any Bigfoot evidence. And there's UFO watching, cryptid hunting. Anything else that y'all can think of? No? I actually covered the bases.
Yeah, I think so.
I think there's still one group pretty much watches Nessie all the time, watching for that Loch Ness.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talked about that last time. That there's a Loch Ness sightings website. Yeah, we talked about that. You're right. So there's all kinds. But like I said, in this show, we're talking primarily about ghost hunting, paranormal investigations. So with that, I want to introduce my friend Kent Rasmussen. And Ken, I'm going to let you fill in all the details, but Ken and I met several years ago when we were both involved in a nationwide paranormal group that did tours and other things, and they were based in Salem, Oregon. And so, Kent, tell us a little bit about your background and experience. What was your first paranormal experience?
My very first experience. Hi, guys. I'm Kent, by the way. My very first experience happened when I was 10 years old-ish. I was staying at my aunt's on a century-old farm, and I woke up in the middle of the night to a woman in a black dress just kind of stroking my hair, telling me everything was going to be okay. I didn't think anything of it, kind of interested to see it. And then the next morning I went down and told my Aunt Mary about what had happened, and she said that it was her grandmother that had actually passed away in the room that I was sleeping in.
Wow.
So that's where my background and my first sighting was.
What was your most profound that shook you to the core, personally and with your team?
Well, personally and actually with the team, it was the exact same investigation at the same time.
Yeah.
When we first got started, we did a local cemetery here in Oregon, and first couple of nights there was really nothing going on. The third night we started getting some activity, but by the sixth night in a row, we started seeing things crawling across the ground at us, hearing chains dragging, body apparitions. So we actually ended up running out of the cemetery after a couple because they were coming at us.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, did you follow up with that to see? Did you gather any evidence on that?
Funny story. We did get a whole bunch of evidence out of that one, but one of our investigators actually sat on the CD and broke it.
Oh, no.
We had it all transferred to a disc and it got broken.
Oh, don't you hate it? Yeah.
We did get in the photos. There was about a 7-8 series of photos that was a vortex forming in the middle of this cemetery. Like it started out at the size of a tennis ball and it ended up getting to probably 3 feet in diameter.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. And you caught this on just still pictures or video?
Yep. Still pictures.
Awesome. That's cool, man. All right. Well, I had down here another question to ask you, and I didn't really know how to ask it. But because I've been on these investigations before where something wonky happens and it just has everybody on the floor laughing. What have you run across anything like that where you're just in the middle of an investigation? I don't know, supernatural or just crazy, and then everybody's just loses it.
Yeah, actually, we had one. We had this client that sweared up and down there was a little entity in her closet that would come out at night. Turns out it's her cat.
A supernatural cat.
Yeah, she heard the hissing and all that from the closet, and it was her cat getting stuck underneath the water heater.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, no.
Well, at least you debunked it, okay? All right. Have you had any current experiences just recently that you'd like to share with us?
Just a couple of weeks ago, we were at another local cemetery, and we had a couple of shadow figures following us around and kind of watching what we were doing.
Wow. I mean, distinct shapes where you could count, like 3 or 4 of them, or?
Yeah, there was 3. One in the shape of a female. You could see the flowing dress and everything. Another one was probably, it was a male. He was very skinny.
Wow.
If I had to guess height, he was taller than me, and I'm 6'3". So
wow.
The other one was a little kid.
Wow. Full-blown shadow figures. All right. Well, I mentioned this before, but like I said, I think, just a personal opinion, that Kent is one of the pioneers because they've had their group Salem Paranormal for so long. Tell us a little bit how Salem Paranormal got started and what y'all do.
So Salem Paranormal actually got started in April of 2005. Ironically, that you showed the trailer to Ghost Hunters because that's what got me wanting to do it. I called up my brother and was like, "Hey, let's go to a local cemetery." And he was like, "For what?" And I told him, and he goes, "I'm gonna do some. I want to hear ghost voices." And he was like, "What?" And so we went out, and that was the 6-night investigation. And we just got there. So, yeah, April of 2005. It's,
wow.
Been just over 15 years.
Yeah, a little over 15 years. That's awesome. And you continue, I mean, you're still going. You're still a group.
Salem Paranormal is not really doing much. I mean, we're still a group, but we're not doing a whole lot of the investigations right now. We're pretty much helping some newer groups and kind of passing on the torch.
Okay, cool. So, all right, we'll get into that in a minute. All right. You also co-produce a web series or YouTube series called Abnormality, and I just stole a little clip from that. I want y'all to see that real quick. It's just I edited it down, but this is what they have done.
Welcome to a special edition of Abnormality, here with my buddy Kent. Big Tony as always.
So you have to see the way Xena's set up, because when you're driving on the road, you see the hill and you see this, you see the cemeteries right here.
Yeah.
But there was a guy walking like above them, and we stopped to kind of see what he was doing. And
be nosy.
Yeah, random whistling.
Just weird whistling.
And I had my 3-year-old daughter out there at the time, Kira.
Yeah.
She was in the car with me, and we were talking to the pastor of this church, and she looks at me and goes, "Daddy, who's that standing in the window?" And there's nobody there.
Wow.
I was like, okay.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
As always, Big Tony.
Kent.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Abnormality. We'll catch you guys next week with Gert. Big Gert.
Big Gert will
from
be
Holland.
in studio.
Will be in studio for an interview, and I heard he's bringing William too.
And I heard he's bringing a couple of his crew members too. So
I wasn't sure about that.
Well, when we talked to him, he said he wasn't sure because of the episode is about him.
The show is definitely about Gert. We're just going to hide and cower in the corner and just let him take over and run the show. And we'll talk more about Transylvania because I want to do an episode from Transylvania.
Dude, that would be awesome.
Oh my God, like a 3-day hunt, just live there.
Have a good night, Jason. We'll be hitting you up very soon to make the plans finalized.
Washoe Club, I'm doing it. All right, brother.
All right.
See you guys next time.
Okay. And I mean, I like that it's just laid back and they sit there and they discuss. So elaborate on that little story there. Your daughter saw something in the car window?
We were just out getting ready. Salem Paranormal, we were actually trying to get to this. There's this church and cemetery here in Salem that is world-renowned haunted. I mean, it's all over web pages. They have reports of all kinds of activity. They actually have a spirit there that they call them Old Blue Eyes. He's probably, I think they say he's like about 6.5, 7 feet tall, in an all cloak, and all you see is his icy blue eyes that glow. We were we wanted to get access to the cemetery because it's a no trust thing.
Yeah.
And at night, and when we went up there to talk to the church people, they had me and Chris distracted, and she was pulling on my shirt from the car window because she had rolled it down, and she was pointing inside the church asking who was standing at the window, because there was someone standing at the window watching her. And when me and Chris looked, there was nobody there.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, kids and pets. What do they say? Kids and pets when it comes to the paranormal. Well, tell us about abnormality and how that got started.
So, unfortunately, after so many years of being an investigator, I'm not a fan of doing investigations anymore. I would rather be behind the scenes and doing the creating and interviewing people. That's just me.
Right.
After years, it gets a little tiresome. I did to reach out to a local TV network that does closed caption community television. And we didn't script, we didn't write out episodes, nothing. We just turned on the camera and started recording, and whatever sounded good, we posted.
Cool.
We ended up doing 36 episodes in less than a year.
Wow. And those are still on YouTube, obviously. Well, I've subscribed to it, so I've gone on there and watched some of them.
Every single one of them.
Yep. All right, but now you're doing something new with a podcast. Tell us about that.
So, Mysteries of the podcast I'm working on right now is Mysteries of the Paranormal and Beyond. I'm a big proponent of getting information out there to the people about the paranormal and the supernatural, and I would rather teach people the right way to approach these things than what you see on TV, because what you see on TV is so wrong approach. Just, you don't want to do it that way. The reason why I say that is they operate on a different system than you, and they don't have to listen to you. So there's that. But that's the way. That's what it is with me. Is I would rather just sit behind like you guys are doing, have people asking questions and just answering questions, giving them the information that they need.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Well, I've listened to a couple of them. I hadn't caught up yet, but I know the very first one that you did was, like I mentioned earlier, Ghost Hunting 101. And that's some of the stuff that we want to go over here today. So, well, give us real quick before we get into all that. What's life like outside the paranormal? Tell us a little bit about home and family and job and stuff like that real quick.
Well, so me and my wife work full-time jobs. Between the two of us, we have 6 kids.
Wow.
Just found out coronavirus closure. Old is going to be 9 November. Is pregnant, so we're going to be parents in a couple months.
Grandparents? It was cutting out.
We work at a local. Yep, grandparents.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Well, thank you. We both have full-time jobs at a local casino here. We're staying busy. That's the problem, is we're so busy. We both work the graveyard shift, so we're up all night, sleep all day, the routine.
And you also did, I noticed, it was last weekend, you actually did a fireworks show for July the 4th.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to actually get one done, be able to do one here. The whole state of Oregon canceled all but like 35, 40 of them.
Wow.
And I've been a licensed pyrotechnician for 19 years. So
nice. All right. Well, yeah, and you're also a aren't you a firefighter?
I'm a volunteer for 2 different cities, actually.
Excellent. I thought so. I thought I remembered that. Yeah, we've got one of our ETs, Beth, couldn't be with us here today. She's an EMT and doing some training out in Texas, I think. So anyway, we support you guys.
Right on.
Wow. All right. As we get,
I've been doing.
have you now? Well, Tommy, I didn't realize
that.
that, or if I did, I missed it. Excellent. So we've got some more. People like the EMTs and the firefighters and the cops. We support them all and wish them the best. All right. As we get into this, we want to start at the very basic. Who hunts ghosts? Who is a paranormal investigator? So I feel like there's a few different personality types, and believe it or not, I look at the most famous ghost hunters of all time to be our examples. Who you gonna call? I'm sorry. I just thought I'd have a little fun. But the unique thing is there are some distinct personality types there of people who investigate the paranormal. But before we delve into each of those characters, did you realize that the Ghostbusters were not the original Ghostbusters? When I was a kid, which is a long, long time ago.
Really?
All right. Yeah, a long time ago. No, I'm not even talking Scooby-Doo. These were the original, the Ghostbusters.
We're the Ghostbusters. I'm Spencer. He's Tracy. I'm Kong. We're the Ghostbusters. We're clever, courageous, and strong. Your sleep has been haunted with whispers and rattlings. Your blood has been curdled. We know what to do. Your skin has the creepies. You wonder what's happening. You're safe in our hands. We will take care of you. We're the Ghostbusters. Spirits and demons beware. The Ghostbusters. Wherever you're hiding out there. We know what you're up to. We're ready for anything. We're bold and we're fearless and never afraid. We're always prepared. We're right there with everything. With us on the job, trouble soon fade. The Ghostbusters do it again.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was just a little indulgence there. I used to watch that show when I was a kid. And when Ghostbusters came out, I was like, wait a minute, they weren't the first ones. So anyway, I had to throw that in there. But I do want to focus on the characters of Ghostbusters as kind of a guide. It's not set in stone, but we'll go over these real quick, and then we'll talk about, the different personality types, like Peter Venkman, played by Bill Murray. He's out there having fun, something to do. He's interested in it and knows a little bit, but not fully into it. I'm sure you've investigated with some of these folks. Or like Ray Stantz, the Dan Aykroyd character. He's all for the excitement, the thrill ride. He's waiting for something to manifest so that he can get his goosebumps and waiting for that thrill and excitement. Hey, we lost Tommy. Where'd he go? Anyway, then Egon. There he is. Come on back. Egon Spangler, played by Harold Ramis. He's purely scientific. He's just straightforward. This is what's going on. Researches everything. And he's an avid student. And it's just a case study to learn more. Then Winston, I was watching Stranger Things the other night, and it was Halloween, and the four boys were going as the Ghostbusters, and nobody wanted to be Winston because he didn't do that much. But that's
He's me.
okay. Well, he's just along for the ride. My friends are doing it. He's picked up some knowledge, listening to the friends, and watches TV shows, but not much to offer. I wanted to mention this about Winston. I had a friend go with me on a ghost hunt one time. He had never really showed much interest in it, but took him on a ghost hunt with me, and then after it was all said and done, we get out there and we're like, talking about what happened, and it turns out that he was only there to try to hook up with a woman that was on the team. And I'm like, come on, man, that's not what we're here for. So anyway, that was as far as the show. As far as the movie, we got Winston and then Dana Barrett, who was played by Sigourney Weaver. And I saw that as, some people get interested in the paranormal and ghost hunting only for personal reasons. This is happening in my house. So they start doing research and digging and try to figure it out, what's going on in their life with their situation. And then pushing all that aside, Ghostbusters, then we go into some other folks, empaths, mediums, and they're motivated by their personal gifts and callings. They feel drawn to the paranormal and people. And I want to hear from you if you feel like I may have missed somebody, but one important one that I want to mention is charlatans and grifters. And they're out there, folks, and some of them on TV may be that they're just out for the money and the fame, and they know just enough to be dangerous. Did I miss anybody?
That sounds like it Ghost Adventurers crew to me.
Oh, could be. I mean, I don't want to cast aspersions on anybody, that's out there doing it. I used to like Ghost Adventures, and I want to talk I don't want to talk about them, but I want to talk about some of those some folks that I don't know, some of the things that they do I'm not comfortable with. But you do have folks out there that are not in it for the right reasons. Kent, what do you think about all this? I'm just looking at, the types of personalities basically of people that hunt ghosts.
So, a lot more of the grifters and charlatans than people think. A lot of people do get into the paranormal simply because they see Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters and Dead Files and all these, and they think of it as a way to make a quick buck and a quick living.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I will tell you from not firsthand experience, but knowing somebody who was just on a TV show through Travel Channel, they did one season. What the finished product is not what happened. They are on a location for from 10 to 14 days at a time. So, like I mentioned in my background, that experience, day one, there really was nothing. By day 6, it was going crazy. So if you're spending 10 to 14 days at the same location, eventually the spirits are going to warm up to you and they're going to start producing, if you will. But what they show you in an hour episode is not what you're getting yourself into. So, if you're going to get into the paranormal investigation, my opinion is do it for the right reason, and that's to help people. I saw a thing on Facebook the other day that actually made me sick. It was a paranormal group, charging somebody $5,000 to do an investigation at their place.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
And that's not okay.
No. I mean, most folks that I know that are doing this sincerely, they never charge anything. I don't think you guys never did. I know you guys never did. My friend Al Luna up in Ohio, he never charges anything. And the groups I've worked with here locally in Alabama, they never charge anything, because they're doing it sincerely, which we're going to talk about motivations here in a second. But do y'all know anybody that's like a Peter Venkman or a Ray Stantz or an Egon or a Winston or a Dana? How about you guys watching? Do you know anybody that's like any of these? What about you? Okay, everybody on here, where do you see yourself? Tommy.
Myself. I don't know. I'm pulled two ways on it out there. I mean, I like to do it because of, I guess you could say, the rush of but seeing something happen that's not really supposed to be happening. But at the same time, I kind of like look at it and try to. There's got to be some reason for that to be happening.
Right.
There's got to be, even if it's like a residual haunt, but there's got to be some kind of reason for this to be happening.
Yeah. We're going to talk about
demonic thing. It goes back in. Have these kids been messing with Ouija boards or anything? It's a number of there's a reason for something. Everything has a reason.
Right. We're going to go into motivations and perspectives. Why we do what we do, and why we investigate here in a second. Christine, do you see yourself in any of these folks?
Well, I kind of see myself in Bill Murray, just going to have fun and check out something, see what's hiding around the corner, what's next.
Yeah.
Get my spook on.
Well, but you also have some empathic abilities, and we've talked about that before. But I'm not going to put you on the spot with that right now, but just know that it's recognized. And so if you are watching and you feel like you have one of these, then let us know in the comments and share with us there. All right, one of our sponsors before we go on into the motivations, our buddy Tim Shepard. Yep, Raven Wind Tours. Like I said, outgrowth of who we used to be involved. The group we used to be involved in. Now, I want to hear Kent's views and opinions on motivations and why people investigate and how we approach it. But the four examples that I see is a skeptic that questions everything. There's got to be a rational reason for what's going on. And then you got your believer that just believes everything, whatever, noise, it is a spirit. But then you got your open-minded skeptic who questions everything, but they're open to learn. And then you got your open-minded believer that starts off not questioning, but then will back off and say, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? So to me, that's your 4 different perspectives in looking at this. Kent, what are your thoughts on those?
There is, I mean, you've got all of them listed, but there is one more that should be listed, and it is the non-believer. No matter, there's no change in their
True.
mind period. It's
true.
Does not exist.
Yep.
So that's the only one I see missing. But other than that, you nailed it.
Yeah. Well, where do you see yourself?
My motivation, honestly, is I want to prove life after death. That is it.
Yeah.
I want to know. There's a lot of loved ones I've lost, especially recently, and I want to know how they're doing. So I went on an investigation. I tend to reach out to them because I know they're following me because I can feel them.
Right.
I can sense them. Unfortunately, I haven't yet to talk to one of them, but I want, that's my motivation, is I want to know how they're doing. They know how I'm doing. It's only fair, in my opinion, that I know how they're doing.
Well, it's interesting you bring up the non-believers because while you could never get them on an investigation, some of those, when placed in a situation, they start questioning things real quick. I've seen it happen a couple of times, like being on tour. This happened so many times because we would go on tour, and we always had too many investigations while on tour, and this happened several times where we'd start the tour and you'd have this one guy, nope, no such thing as ghosts, no such thing as the paranormal, and on and on and on and on. We'd get into one of the investigations and they'd walk out of there with their eyes like, what the hell just happened? Wait a minute. Something's going on here. So, yes, you're right. There are the non-believers out there, but once they get in a situation where they see something, sometimes their eyes are opened up. All right, Christine.
Yes, sir.
Where do you see yourself? Skeptic, believer, open-minded skeptic, open-minded believer, non-believer?
I'd say I'm an open-minded believer. There's a lot of things that I do question, but I believe that there's got to be something more than what we're doing right now. There's
Right.
got to be.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm open-minded. I do question a lot of things that certain people say, like people I don't know, don't trust. I do consider myself a skeptic there. But
Right.
if I know you, I trust you, I'm more inclined to believe what you have to say. But that's with pretty much every aspect of my life.
Right.
If I know you and I trust you, then I take your word for it. I still look at, what I can find out otherwise, but
Right.
if I don't know you, odds are I'm not going to believe you.
Okay. That makes sense. Lynn, are you still with us?
Yes.
All right. What about you?
Well, the Ernie Hudson's character is more me. I just go along for the ride. I don't,
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
have an opinion. Well, I do, but my opinions are more along. How can I say this? My opinions are in a different area. Do I believe that there's anything out there? Yes, I do. Do I think they're necessarily ghosts? Not necessarily. But I do think, even the Bible says that the dead in Christ will arise first. Well, if they're going to arise first, that means they're still here. So there is a little bit that, I do think that there's something more here that I can't see and that I don't know. But it's not really anything that I spent a whole lot of time as a kid worrying about or thinking about. In fact, I didn't even think about it until I started dating you. So you took a total unbelieving all the way everywhere, and you talked me into going on a ghost hunt. So see,
Hey, the power of persuasion.
Tom, you've been a bad influence.
He's been a bad influence in a lot of ways.
Well, it may not be that bad.
Yeah, but you still love him.
Yeah, well,
She puts up with me. I thank God she does. Yeah. Well, Tommy, where do you see yourself falling in line? Skeptic, believer, open-minded skeptic, open-minded believer, non-believer?
Say open-minded believers.
Okay.
Of course, my outlook at things and everything in life right now, whether it's spiritualism, ghost hunting, religion, or what, you got to be open-minded about.
Yep. Yeah.
I can't sit here and get locked in completely. If me and you are sitting in one place and we see something that happens and each of us has a different perspective of it, we can't really lock ourselves into just what one person's saying is actually what it is.
Right.
So you get like that, you're getting closed-minded and you're not solving no issue, not solving nothing, not really getting the understanding of what's going on.
True.
But to get a full understanding of something, you've got to have an open mind about it, be able to discuss things, and not let yourself get locked in on what one person says.
Exactly. And I come at it from, and I've said this for years, and I thought I had coined the phrase, but then I heard it later that it's been around for years, but I've always called myself an open-minded skeptic. And that's kind of where all this started from, because this is the way I've seen myself, is that I don't, for every little creak, especially if I'm on an investigation, every little creak, every little noise, I'm not jumping and saying, ooh, we got something. I think there's a rational explanation for most things. But then, I'm open-minded enough to say, okay, there was no explanation for this or that or the other. Kent, where do you feel like you fall in line? Skeptic, believer, open-minded skeptic, open-minded believer, or non-believer?
I'm an open-minded skeptic. I have done a lot of research into the paranormal. Like I said, I'm the behind-the-scenes guy. I would rather research and relay information to people than be out there doing it. I have been on several investigations where they're there, you feel them, they're talking to you, you see them, all that, and you can pull up to the creepiest serial killer house and not get anything. So, that's unfortunately, ghosts don't work on command. So there's that. But I'm just I'm an open-minded skeptic. I have to look at it from all angles, and when I analyze like what we got evidence-wise, I'm literally like, if I catch a voice, I'm putting it on a loop for 30 to 40 seconds just to try to piece together what they're saying. I don't. Oh, yep, there's one. Okay, move on.
Exactly. Well, let me ask y'all. After we've talked about motivations and perspectives and how we approach ghost hunting, paranormal investigation. We've mentioned some of these TV shows, and one thing that's always bothered me, and Kent, I really want to hear your thoughts and opinions on this, is you're sitting there and you get something to manifest. And I think Kent mentioned this earlier, but I've been where you investigate one location time after time after time and nothing happens. And then you come back and the next night is just like boom, 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 one thing after another, manifestations of whatever. And you just have an active night. But then the people that go, especially on these TV shows, they scream and run out of the room. To me, that has, it's like, what's the point? Why are you there? Fear and anxiety and trepidation in an investigation, can that hurt or harm?
It could definitely hurt. I mean, think about it in this sense. Let's go not necessarily on the topic of the show, but let's go with the fight or flight method medically. Fight or flight method that your body's through, it's a shot of adrenaline. If you're not prepared for it, you could throw yourself into a heart attack.
True.
So
right,
you have to, and with the TV shows, they instill by showing that experienced investigator running out. It's instilling fear in the viewer. That's what it's doing. It's fear mongering is all it's doing.
Right.
But it draws the viewer in more. So that's just that's how TV works, and unfortunately, that's what they do.
Yeah. Well, they're after ratings. They have to please their advertisers so they can all make money. Yeah, exactly. I mean that's the point behind it. Now, there is one here locally, and I believe your show, Kent, Abnormality, would fall in this category. That they're just doing it to get the message out. They're not looking for advertisers. This group, I hope to be able to get them on the show sometime, but they do their investigating shows and they're fully produced, but they're not, that slick, polished Hollywood thing. They're just putting it out there and not to make money. They're not trying to appease an advertiser, and they're just putting it out there for what they find. Another one that come up, and this is I've seen it on so many ghost shows, which honestly, just between you and me, folks, I don't even watch them anymore. I begin to see some things that just really dishearten me for the industry, and I'll go on a local investigation. It's been a while since we've been on one, but local groups have invited Lynn and I, and we'll go with the local guys. But as far as sitting down and grabbing my popcorn or whatever and watching these guys, I just can't do it anymore. But that's me. But one thing that that kind of pissed me off, that kind of turned me off for some of these shows, is when they start antagonizing and they start screaming. Me personally, I can't handle. I mean, I just don't deal with that because I think there needs to be some respect. But we'll talk about that in a second. Kent, what have you seen when folks do that?
It's very irritating. I come from a belief system that you respected them when you respected them when they were alive. Respect them when they're dead.
Exactly.
Respect for the dead is a key point for me. And I like what Lynn put in our little thing here, but it's true. If you keep poking and poking and poking, like I said earlier, to the people out there, they operate on a different level, plane, whatever you want to call it. They don't have to listen to you. They're not afraid of you. So keep that in mind. Anybody on this, they don't care what you say to them.
No. No.
But it does boil down to, like Tom said, it's respect them, please. Don't.
Well, that's the whole bottom line is respect. I mean, when we used to do our tours, that was one thing we talked about in the beginning before we ever started walking was we respect the properties, respect whatever entity you might come in contact with, because we don't know what we're dealing with. Thankfully, on our tours in the several years that we did it, we never came across anything of evil intent. I mean, Lynn and I have talked about this where it was just, thankfully we had such a family-oriented tour. I mean, we'd have 8, 9-year-old kids and younger out there with the dowsing rods enjoying our tours, and we never came across anything negative or evil. But that's the main thing that we want to impress here is the respect. I mean, and especially, we'll talk about this in a minute too, on the locations, whoops, we lost Christine. Yeah, I'm sure she'll be back on.
She's rebooting.
Rebooting.
Oh, okay.
I'll wait for her to come back on to say what I wanted to say.
Okay. But yeah, we'll go into this in a little bit. But yeah, respect for but whoever we're dealing with, Kent, do you want to say something?
Well, there's like I said, I'll wait for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll wait for Christine to come back on and really touch on it. But just kind of go back to what we were talking about a little bit ago is if you respect. So the problem with the paranormal investigation world, if you will, is there are several people out there very good at what they do, like myself and my team and you guys and everybody out there is really professional. But it takes one person to mess that up.
Yeah.
One person respecting property and they will rip it away so fast you can't blink.
Exactly. Yeah, that was, when we would be in a location, we'd be careful, those of us that smoked, we wouldn't smoke in the building or on the property. We'd take it away from there or whatever. Actually, we wouldn't do it during an investigation to begin with. But, if you had a drink or whatever, you made sure it was locked up and wouldn't spill, just little things like that. And it's common sense. Oh, we lost Lynn too. So what's going on here? But anyway, well, go ahead. Okay, Lynn's back. I don't know what's going on with Christine. I think she was sending me a message somewhere else. Okay, nope, she hadn't popped back up yet. Well, go ahead and share that because I don't know what's going on with Christine, and we can go on to talk about locations.
All right, so what I want to kind of touch on, like I said, I've done a ton of research on the one thing that you did is during your tours and investigations, you haven't necessarily come across anything with evil intent or an evil spirit or whatever.
Right.
The one thing to remember, and I want to get this out to the people, is an evil spirit's mentality. They're not going to come at you when you're in that group. They want to get you one-on-one because they know that there's power in numbers. So just kind of look at that side of the coin that, if you're in that massive group, they're going to be kind of hidden back and watching. It's that one-on-one interaction that they're going to try to get at you.
That's good.
Another thing, really, before you continue on, sorry, is when you're doing and you're getting ready to leave that investigation, do everything in your power to make sure that they don't follow. That's all I'm going to say on that. If you want me to touch more on that later, I will.
No,
but
that's actually
they can follow. So
yes. Well, that's good. You bring that point up because you are correct. Things can follow you home. That was one thing that we always did in the groups that I investigated with. I mean, we didn't, get a group together, at the end of it and, hold hands and sing Kumbaya or say the Lord's Prayer or anything. But we each knew the responsibility of to borrow a word from the Catholic Church, to shrive ourselves, where, basically saying nothing here is coming home, but each individual had to take care of that themselves, where, we would say nothing is coming. It's like that. We've mentioned this before, but the old adage that the vampire can only come in if he's invited. And, on the investigations we were on, each investigator understood the importance of making sure anything stayed on site and didn't follow them home. Now, the reason we didn't do it as a group is because you got different belief systems. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to handle it a different way. But it was something we did talk about and made a stress, emphasize this: before you leave this investigation, deal with it. Don't take it home. That was good, Kent. I appreciate you bringing that up.
I don't know if you guys can see this very neck. I wear, what is this one? Oh, this is my St. Christopher.
I was going to say, that looks like a St. Christopher.
From the moment I put it on, I have never taken it off since I shower with it, swim with it, whatever. I never take it off. And I've never had any issues. Another thing that we like to do, like you said, with the different beliefs, it's in a very respectful manner. You just tell them out loud, you are not will follow anyone home. You are to stay here. Do not follow anyone home. And we have yet to have anybody get followed home since doing that.
Good. All right. Well, I'm glad we covered that. That's some important thing. That's something that has to be done every investigation to deal with. All right. With location, Kent, what do you look for in a location? That is it just somebody? Well, let me just back up. Just in a general sense, you choose. What do you look for?
So if I'm choosing the location, I'm looking for a very, very, very historic one that has lots of history, not necessarily like your funeral home from the 1920s. I'm looking for that turn of the century building that maybe doesn't have confirmed, but it could. That's what I'm looking for. I'm out trying to find the investigation.
Right.
So I'm looking for the older style buildings. And that's what I'm personally looking for.
And one thing you have to consider when doing that, has there been a request to investigate that building? But I just backed up and said, okay, if you're just looking for something. But one thing we have to remember, if we've been requested to investigate, or if it's something that we're choosing our own, do we have permission?
Mm-hmm.
If you, to me, if you go in breaking the law right off the bat when you step on the property, then you're going to have issues. It's called karma, I think. So make sure you've either been requested or have permission. Because usually if somebody's asking you to come investigate, then you have permission. But if you're just picking something, drive by and say, hey, I want to go investigate, go get permission first. Because I personally believe that negative karma will affect you. Yeah. I mean,
karma is not a joke.
There you go. What goes around comes around. Now, I personally, before my tour came along, Lynn could tell you I had been batting around the idea of a new team. I've already been with a couple, and I was wanting to get a small team, no more than 4 or 5 people, and I wanted to go find locations that that had no history of manifestations. In other words, people want to do what's the big asylum, the Waverly, because of all the evidence that's been. I don't want to do a Waverly. If I go into a site, first off, I don't want to know what's been going on there. That's just me personally. And the reason, see what you think about this, Kent. The reason being is if I capture any evidence, I want to be able to compare it to what's been previously going on. And if I know in my head what's been going on, then my own personal confirmation bias can usually steer the investigation in that direction. So I would rather not know the history in one sense. The natural history, yes, but the supernatural history I don't want to know, so that my own personal bias doesn't skew the investigation. Does that make sense?
I think you
It
find
does,
what you go in
because whether or not
expecting to
your
find.
mind is a very, very, yeah. If you already know that you're walking into Waverly, for instance, and there's over 100 spirits in there, your mind being so powerful is going to draw you to only focus on those 100 spirits, or whatever. It's going to change your outline. Well, this is it. I don't need to be here. Why am I here? I'm bored.
Right.
Versus finding that place, like you said, that has no history reported, because now you're looking at every nook and cranny. You're on every floor. You're in a corner trying to get an answer.
Right.
Where at Waverly, for instance, you're going to stand in the center of the big open room and know that they're going to talk to you.
Right. And what was it you said, Lynn?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Waverly is my.
I said you go in and you generally find what you expect to find.
Yep.
If you expect to find all this, that's what you get. And if you're
Right.
told this is what's there, that's what you expect, and you're not really going to find anything indifferent.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I don't want to know. I've had people get upset with me on a investigation. I remember one in particular, the group's researcher says, "Okay, let me tell you the history." So she told us the history, which was great. And then she said, "And they've had this manifestation," and I stopped him. I was like, "Whoa, stop. I don't want to know." And she got upset because she couldn't share her information, I guess. So, but some things to remember before we.
Well, there's a reason why. There's earlier with the psychics and mediums. There's a reason why when they're doing a reading on a place, they don't want to know anything. It skews their ability.
Right.
They're going to be able to, like, if you tell them, "Hey, many spirit," they're automatically going to go in queuing in their head with their skills. There's X amount of spirits that I can reach out to.
Right. Right.
If that makes any sense to anybody.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, let's kind of close out the location section real quick. We want to one thing you want to know, is it physically safe? The Kennedy House downtown, we investigated, and there were certain sections of the building that we could not go into. It wasn't that we were forbidden, but you could walk in there and fall through the floor down 2 stories. So
that would hurt.
Yeah, so we had to make sure we.
That house there.
Yeah, but they have fully restored it now. Find out if there's any local.
They were talking
laws.
about tearing it down, and I wanted to cry.
Yeah, but they fully restored it now. But find out if there's any local laws or ordinances that had to be respected, because there could be some reason you can't be there. So make sure you got that. And we've already. Also, is it occupied?
Gotta remember that.
What's okay? You remember? Christine just chimed in.
Oh,
All right.
sorry. Lynn was saying that she about cried, and I was
Yeah.
just saying, yeah, I remember that.
Oh, beautiful house, building. They've fully restored it. But you also want to know if it's occupied. In other words, it could be a family living there. And if a family is still currently living there, you got to make sure you respect their private space and only go into areas that they want you to be in. But also, if you're going into an abandoned building, it's always a
And
good
one other
idea.
thing, Tom.
Go ahead.
One other thing to mention about the whole family home thing, and then I'll let this continue on. As it being a family home, keep in mind, if you are investigating, you get to leave. So
Good
don't
point.
bring something there by antagonizing and all that, because then it's going to torture them.
Right.
Good
and that's
point.
just not right to do, especially if they have little kids or whatever. So that's where the respect, antagonizing, just it's one big giant bubble.
Yeah,
Play with
exactly.
it gently.
Good point. I'm glad you brought that up. And these are things to remember. Those of you that are watching, these are just tips and pointers to remember if you've never hunted ghosts before or if you're looking at getting into it. And there's nothing wrong with more people out there investigating. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Just, just be smart about it. Hang on, who are we missing here? Oh, no, we're not missing anybody. And the different types, of course, homes. Kent mentioned, historic buildings, modern homes, office buildings, asylums, graveyards, cemetery. How many is investigated cemeteries? Those are kind of freaky. Yeah, we were investigating a big, huge cemetery in Mobile, and somebody had on a
Oh,
spirit
I love.
box. And right in the middle of the spirit box session, we hear it, the frequency stop, and then you hear this voice say, "Tom did it." And everybody's looking at me, and they were like, "What?" I don't know, but I probably did. Battlegrounds. I've never had the opportunity to investigate a battleground, but has anybody? If you're viewing, let us know if you've investigated some of these places. Tell us about it. A lighthouse. There's several lighthouses in the area here that have reputations, put it that way. What are some other places you think, location-wise? Anybody?
Honestly, I would say, and just to pipe in real quick, would be your public forests. A lot of homesteads that were back in the back, way back when, from the pioneers.
That's a good one.
Be able to go out there and get some. I mean, and most of them, as long as they're public and whatever, you go walking out there, and
true.
All you need is a voice recorder. You don't need all the fancy stuff you see on TV.
Right.
Voice recorder and a digital camera, and you'd be amazed at what you can catch.
Yep.
What about churches or cathedrals or theaters? Any old building.
Well, the thing with churches, you just have to respect, where they're coming from. Because some of them just won't allow it because it goes against their belief systems. And but some are open to it. I was listening to a podcast today of a Catholic, or not today, yesterday. They were interviewing a Catholic priest, and he's open to all this, So you never know. But that reminded me what Kent said. When we restructured our tours, we started we needed to find a place to investigate, so we picked a little plaza downtown. And I'd never heard anything about this plaza being haunted or having any kind of manifestation, anything. And so the first night we get there, we're like, okay, let's just see what happens. We didn't know if we would get anything. And we were sitting there, and And we had a flashlight set up on the back of this bench, and we had one of the apps going. And I just said the, patent phrase, "Is there anybody here with us that wants to communicate?" And the light came on, and the app spoke up the name Wilson. I mean, just as soon as that video is actually on our Facebook page where that happened. And like I said, never heard of anything. And in research, I've never found anything about a Wilson being from that area, died in that area, lived in that area, or anything. So yeah, plazas, parks, public forests, like he said. All right, we're going to move into some tools as we close out today. Some different ghost hunting tools that we recommend, but we're going to go into one of our sponsors, Christine Rogers. All right, check her out on Facebook at author Christine Rogers and go buy her books. Okay? All right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
I divided the tools section into basically two sections, inexpensive and the more advanced. And Kent's already mentioned that, with the camera and a recorder, you'd be amazed of what you can find and what kind of evidence you can garner that way. But it's always good to have a flashlight. And this is something I learned, I picked up from another group that just kind of shocked me because I had my little headlight and I had a handheld flashlight. And of course we do the flashlight experiment. And but I went in on an investigation one time with this other group, and they had red lensed flashlights. And the red lens, you can see everything you need to see, but it's not throwing the glare. Because you know how it is with the headlights, especially when I'd use them, and you'd go to look at somebody and you're shining the light right in their eyes, And I noticed that as they would shine their red lens flashlights, you could see everything, but it's not blinding anybody. And so it's just a good idea. And one thing we started doing several years ago, I found some of these yellow safety glasses. And wearing the yellow safety glasses over my glasses, it makes things a little easier to see at night. Has anybody ever tried those, used those before? Anybody watching? It was just amazing, to walk in, you see all this red light flashing, and you're like, what the hell's going on? And you walk in a room and they're shining a red flashlight, and I'm like, wow, that I just like, why didn't I think of that kind of thing? All right, dowsing rods, pendulums. These are just inexpensive things you can do. I actually got turned on to the dowsing rods with the tour company that we were involved with, and learned how to make them. And we saw great success. Tim Shepard still uses them with Raven Wind Tours. And have you ever used them?
They're a pain to make, 24.
Yeah. I remember sitting there for hours cutting the wire and bending. but they really were. And one thing we did, I kind of took and built off of that since we were outside. I took a length of copper, heavy copper wire. I mean, dense, heavy copper wire. And then I took a copper pipe and got some caps and put on the ends, and then drilled a hole through one side of the copper pipe. I mean, the copper pipe was maybe 18 inches. And then I would take the length of wire, the heavy wire, and I would stick it in the ground. And of course, when I drilled the hole in the middle of the pipe, I mean, it was a pain to find the actual middle where it would balance. And I would stick the pipe down onto the wire that was stuck in the ground so it would spin freely. And, same premise as the dowsing rods. And I'm sure if you wanted to use it indoors, you could do something with making a stand out of it. But these are just simple little things. Ouija boards, again, that's controversial. Just use extreme caution. Trigger options, toys, pictures. We've got little balls, jingle balls and bells and little cars, like little Hot Wheel cars, things that they can push around. And you know what? I've even got we talked about a recorder a minute ago. We have the little digital recorder. Nice thing about this one, it's got the, where'd it go? Oh, yeah. It's got the USB port that slides out one end so you can go upload straight to a computer. I'm losing it here. A little attachment on it so you can plug it right in. Lynn found these great little external microphones that makes the sensitivity even better. But just a cheap little, inexpensive. It was not cheap. They're RCA, pretty good little things. And the apps. Okay, I know a lot of folks complain about the apps, but who's had good experiences with the apps? Anybody?
I have.
Well, one I like to share is I'm sitting there telling a story on tour one night, and somebody had an app running, and I was into the story, and it involved a love triangle, and I started talking about the woman involved, and I said her name, wrong. Excuse me. And the app spoke up the correct name.
Yeah, I think I was there for that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it was wild. So you can have good. I mean, sometimes you get the weird stuff like fluffy pineapple mango or so, but anyway, you can have some good stuff with those. Just knowing that they're apps, folks. They're not professional. And then if you want to get into the more advanced, you can get into your spirit boxes, your laser thermometers. I think I got one. I mean, we've used these before, but one thing you got to remember with the lasers, folks, it's only good like 8 to 12 inches. You can't shoot something 15 feet away and get an accurate temperature reading. It tells you that. Laser grids, EMF detectors, EM pumps, full spectrum cameras, REM pods, you name it, it can go on and on. You can find these at our strangejourneys.live site. We've got all kind of stuff there. All right. As we go to close the show down, any final thoughts on anything, Kent, as we close it out today? Oh, somebody's okay. All right. Kent, final words.
Like Tom, been doing this for a very long time. A bit of information I've given you guys will never. It won't start you off wrong at all.
Right.
Just the biggest thing when it comes to ghost hunting, paranormal investigating, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. Be respectful, get permission, and leave it better than you found it. I go to a lot of places now, and it disgusts me to see how dirty these historic buildings and cemeteries and areas are because people just trash them.
Yeah.
And that's how we're losing landmarks to ghost hunts because like I said earlier, it's one bad experience for that owner, and they will shut it down to everybody.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. Just be respectful. Use common sense.
Yes, and thank you. What he said. All right, Tommy, any final thoughts?
I think Ken pretty much said it for everybody else. But that's pretty much what I was thinking. Be respectful. Try to leave things in better what it was. Don't leave a mess. And again, like you said, ask for permission. And don't get mad if somebody tells you can't.
Right.
Exactly. Christine?
Yeah, they've already covered everything.
What he said.
What he said. The only thing that I guess I could add.
There is also one other key piece of information.
Oh.
Go ahead, Kent.
So I forgot to put it in there, and it's my little spiel to everybody. But when you do an investigation, do not put the evidence online for other people to view or to hear without the owner's consent.
Good.
Because now they're going to have every ghost hunter out there knocking at their door.
Yep, that makes sense. Good one. Christine?
The only other thing that I could think to say would be go with a buddy. Go with somebody that you trust.
There you go.
Don't do this alone because you just never know.
Yep. Exactly. Lynn?
I just say leave your sticks at home. You poke a stick at a snake, he's gonna snap at you, and you're liable to bleed.
Yep. Yep. Go with an open mind. And remember this as we close out today. The only true and irrefutable evidence of the paranormal or supernatural is personal experience. You know what you saw, you witnessed, you experienced, and no one can refute or debunk that. And while we're never going to have a complete and full understanding of the other side, we'll continue to investigate, to hunt, to research on many more of these strange journeys. So thank you guys for joining us today on this expedition into the strange, and please join us on our next trip. Thank you guys for being with us. Thank you, Kent. Thank you, Kent. Thank you, Kent. Hey, next time.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
We're so glad you came today and was with us. And look forward to the next show because we're talking about something new, something stranger than we've ever talked about before. And that's the Stick Man, a two-dimensional shadow cryptid. Have you ever heard of him? Well, tune in 2 weeks. And we'll talk about him. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.